Good morning. My name's Heidi Colin, and I'm going to provide you with a brief introduction to hash tables today. Now, a hash table is just a data structure, but what's important about this data structure is it's usually used to store lots and lots of unordered data, and in lookup, we can access that data in constant time. Some examples of the kind of data that we may store using hash tables might be names and phone numbers, URL data, names and social security numbers, cars and registration numbers. We're all familiar with the way that arrays store data. Of course, arrays store data using subscript notation. So to use that example of names and phone numbers, the only way using an array in this example to get to a certain phone number would be to know the direct subscript to access that phone number. Hash tables make it a little bit easier. Well, hash tables make it a lot easier because the data is stored using key value pairs. In this example of a name and a phone number, the key might be the name and the value the phone number. Let's take a look at how this works. In order to map the key to the subscript within an array, we have to use a hash function. That hash function is going to take in that key and it's going to output the index or subscript within the array that it's stored in. So to give an example, the key might be my name, Heidi, and the value that I want to store might be my phone number, 850-876-9865. So to give an example, we'll run a hash function on the key, Heidi, and that hash function is going to output 1, which would be the subscript where we want to store that data. So here's an example of that hash table, and you'll notice that underlying the hash table really is just an array where the keys are mapped to the subscripts. So in the previous example, you could see that Heidi was mapped to 1, and I'm using that 1 in subscript notation to store my phone number in the second element of the array, or subscript 1. Now, in summary, in this small introduction, you learned that a hash table is usually used when we're working with lots and lots and lots of unordered data. The data is stored in key value pairs, and storing that data in key value pairs is critical to achieve constant time for search.